Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're talking emotions. It's just emotions taking us over, but we don't have to be taken over. We're going to learn about emotional regulation, how to regulate those emotions in healthy manners. I am so excited. Thank you for watching, whether you're watching live or later. Tune in, tap in, stay around, share and like this live. It's going to be good. All right, so before we get started, I just want to introduce my special guest for today, but allow me to reintroduce myself. Angela Beasley is a licensed professional counselor, international presenter, singer, and creative visionary with a heart for ministry and healing. With experience spanning mental health, media, and public speaking, she empowers audiences through faith-based insight, trauma-informed care, and authentic storytelling. A former podcaster and global presenter, Angela uses her voice, both in speech and song, to inspire transformation, cultivate hope, and restore lives across cultures and communities. Dr. Domonique Lemieux, a licensed professional counselor supervisor and counselor educator, specializes in providing relevant, practical teaching and strategies for mental, social, and emotional well-being. She earned her undergrad and graduate degrees at Xavier University of Louisiana and a doctorate in counselor education and supervision from the University of Holy Cross in New Orleans. Dr. Lemieux has led mobile crisis units and assertive community treatment teams. She created Feeling Some Kind of Way, a therapeutic resource and curriculum to enhance emotional intelligence, awareness, and management skills across diverse populations. Her children's book series includes Dear Baby, Time for Sleep, Dear Baby, Time to Eat, All of My Feelings Are Okay, and If School Had No Rules. Currently, she provides mental health counseling in schools and serves as core faculty at Capella University. Miss Mona Flores is an ordained elder, veteran social worker, and social entrepreneur from New Orleans, Louisiana. She holds a bachelor's and master's degree in social work from Southern University, A&M College, and Tulane University, respectively. Mona is the founder of Pray Now, a prayer and intercession ministry, and the owner and coach of Intelligent Talented Girl Majorettes and Mentoring, teaching girls how to twirl batons. She is a respected intercessor, preacher, author of Foundational Prayer, a guide to praying the model prayer book and journal, co-author of Money Matters, a practical guide for social workers and their clients, and a life insurance broker. In her spare time, she enjoys reading, traveling, family time, sewing, and gardening. Mona believes Jehovah has gifted her to help people heal and is known for her golden heart, love of gymnastics, and gospel and neo-soul music. All right, y'all, it is time for another segment, and today we are talking emotions. Yes, that's it. We're talking emotional regulation. You're going to learn all about it and learn some tips and other insight from the two amazing guests that I have today. Get ready to receive. But what I want you to do is like and share this live. Whether you're watching live or later, like and share and comment. Let us know that you're feeling what we're talking about today, how it resonates with you, and stay tuned. It's going to be so good. Okay, let's get started. Get ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Enjoy. Not us practicing emotional
Yes.
regulation already.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes,
good.
let's do it. Okay, deep breath in. Breathe out. All right. Well, welcome, y'all. Listen, that was an example of how we regulate our emotions. Today, I am so excited. You just heard the intro videos of these two amazing women, wellness, wholeness, counselors, just amazing healers, right? So we're going to hop on in. And again, that was an example of emotional regulation. That was deep breathing. How y'all feeling today?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling amazing.
Yes. I'm so happy to have y'all here. We are in my home right now, sitting on my couch. This is my favorite spot of the house. My safe space where I let go and get free. I do my deep breathing, all kind of stuff in this area. So
Aromatherapy.
yes.
That's good in here.
Listen, and I don't let just anybody in my home, so I trust these ladies, and I want you to trust them too, and the insight that they're gonna bring today. So today is all about emotional regulation, all right? And they are not limited to the questions that I'm gonna ask them, but I talk to them individually, and she's known as the child whisperer, but not limited to that, right? She works with all ages, men, women. However, she works with a lot of children, and she's really good at what she does. And then I have Mona here, who deals with a lot of men in group settings and individuals. And she just has a way of just getting to their heart and getting them to open up. So we're going to hop on in. Y'all ready?
Yes.
All right. So I do want to define there's emotional dysregulation, and today we're going to focus on emotional regulating, right? So emotional dysregulation happens when a person has difficulty managing emotional responses in an appropriate or effective way, leading to intense, prolonged, or disruptive emotional experiences. And listen, we get emotionally dysregulated from a lot of different situations in life, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So some are, and I know that they can chime in later when we, start answering questions, but hormonal fluctuations, that's for women. But hormonal imbalances can happen in men as well. Trauma could be a leading factor of emotional dysregulation, societal pressures, attachment wounds, and then co-occurring conditions. Though it's not limited to that, but those are some reasons why we get dysregulated. But the goal, and we're going to focus on emotional regulation, which refers to the ability, your personal ability to monitor, evaluate, and then change or modify your emotional reactions in order to achieve your goals, maintain relationships, and cope with life challenges. And we're going to lean on them for their specialties today, okay? So let's talk. I want to know, what were you taught about emotions growing up? Anybody can start.
I'll start.
Okay.
So growing up, I grew up in the era that said children should be seen and not heard.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so that meant you sit down over here, you don't say anything. You go into the children's area, you stay out of adults' business. And so there really was not a lot of things taught about emotions. It was really just sit down and be quiet.
Listen, I can resonate with that. I remember I've always been a big feeler. I've always had big emotions, but I was never given the space to be me, right? And I felt shameful for that, like being such a big feeler. So I was told to be quiet, sit down, shut up. What were you taught?
I think much of the same, but also I don't know if I really was directly taught anything regarding emotions. I observed a lot, so I had always been very observant.
Yeah.
So I noticed, especially in my family, a lot of connection occurred over food, family gatherings, those types of things. There were some people that could handle some things well, and there were some people that maybe didn't handle things so well. and as a result, try to cope with big emotions in maladaptive ways, such as alcohol abuse, such as drug abuse, such as even the way they treated others in relationships, are becoming what I saw as a strong example in my family of many women rising to the occasion of being the strong woman, the strong Black woman, the strong, sometimes independent woman, the leader, even if they were married. So that was some of the things that I saw, that emotional resilience of probably not maybe feeling safe in certain environments. So the response is, now I have to be hardened. Now I have to rise to the occasion. Now I got to take care of me, and I got to take care of these children with me, and those types of things. Even if I wasn't directly taught those things, that's what I was taught. Yes.
Wow. So that was modeled. And then also you talked about, because we've all sat in rooms with individuals recovering from substance abuse, right? And on a daily basis, I'm learning that they were not given the tools. Essentially, they are adults, but inside of that shell is a little child who never learned certain principles and things like this. So I'm excited to have y'all. So, okay, in your therapeutic work, right, how do you define emotional regulation?
In my therapeutic work, I define emotional regulation as the ability to be able to manage those emotions, right? Everybody, men, women, boys, girls, everybody, we are innately born with emotions. And so we have to figure out, how do I respond when I'm triggered by something? How do I respond when I'm angry? How do I respond when I'm upset or I have a sense of fear? I have to know, and I have to kind of teach myself, or rather, as a therapist, I have to work with people to help them identify it and then teach them how to manage it. Get them back to a place of homeostasis and balance.
Come on, homeostasis is my favorite word. Listen, I feel so calm around y'all. Y'all healers, y'all are bringing a common sense to me. So same question for you in your therapeutic work. How do you define emotional regulation?
I love that. And so one of the things I do is I allow children, especially, to feel whatever they feel. And I often tell them, it's okay to feel whatever you feel. But what's most important is what you do with what you feel when you feel it. So yes, it's okay to be angry, but it's probably not okay to pick up the dust or the chair and throw it. So what can we do instead? So we work on those types of things. So giving children especially a place to be safe in what they're feeling. And even when we consider God and his amazing wisdom, that he's given us the ability to feel and to have emotions and to feel things. We're not robots. We were created in his image. He's a God of feeling. We are people of feeling. And so giving ourselves the permission to not only be happy, to not only have the joy of the Lord as our strength, but also Jesus wept. So if he will, then we will too. And so also giving children and the adults who parent them, because likely, oftentimes, we find that systemically, we may find that parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles may not also have the emotional vocabulary, the emotional awareness, and certainly not the emotional coping skills necessary to just make it through life day to day. So that's I just give them permission to feel.
That's awesome. I'm sure the kids love when you wear that shirt with all those beautiful colors, right?
Absolutely. I always have a shirt on, a t-shirt that has some type of message, so that even when I'm not talking to a kid, even when I'm not speaking to a kid, I'm speaking to a kid.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Come on, the method to everything, right? Y'all are cooking. So what or why is emotional regulation a critical skill for overall mental health?
Nice. You want me to go this time?
All right.
I'll go first.
I love the synergy. They looking at you. Got this, sis. You got this. All right.
I look at it as that I'm very intentional in my work. Oftentimes, when you ask, even adults, if you ask them how they're feeling, most of the time they're going to always respond with maybe 3 things: happy, sad, mad. That's one aspect. Another aspect is that when we look at adults who are in careers, professions, work, oftentimes it's not the brilliance of the primary skill set, the degrees, all of those things that help them get a job, but it's those soft skills that help them stay employed.
Oh, that's
the ability
good.
to communicate.
Yeah.
So you could be how many times have maybe you've encountered a doctor where you're like, dang, they have terrible bedside manner, they have an attitude, they're just kind of abrupt with people, they're kind of abrasive, those types of things. So considering that typically it is your primary skills, your degrees, the skill set that you know, but it's the soft skills that will keep you those ability to communicate, ability to have compassion, empathy, those types of things that keep you employed.
Oh, that's so good. Same question for you. So why is emotional regulation a critical skill?
Very similar to what Dr. Dom said. You know, emotional regulation helps you to maintain relationships. Right? Because if you flying off the handle all the time,
nobody,
and you throwing stuff all the time,
I don't want to be around you.
who's trying to be around you? Because now I feel threatened, I feel in danger.
Listen, not me.
Can't say anything around this person.
Yeah, and nobody wants to be around anybody that they have to tiptoe around all the time.
Yeah.
So I would say it's important because it helps to maintain relationships. Relationship with yourself. Right? We're all Christian women here, right? Yeah. So it also goes back to a relationship with God, relationship with self, relationship with community, family, children. In any area of life, we have to be able to manage our emotions.
Absolutely. Okay, so now I want to shift into their specialties, right? So I'm going to ask very specific questions regarding children and men. So I want to start off with you. Ready?
Oh, I hope.
Yeah, you got this. That's my doctor, sis, okay? So how do you assess a child's emotional vocab and ability to recognize feelings?
So oftentimes I will plainly ask them, well, you know, how are you feeling in the moment? Or how did you feel when this occurred? And depending on what they tell me, if they can only say, I was mad, then, you know, sometimes I ask them to show me. You know, maybe draw a picture. This is my favorite. Draw a picture of how you're feeling today. Draw a picture that represents they're laughing because I showed them something. A perfect example of what I'm talking about. I asked the kid one time, it was the end of the school year, draw a picture that represents how your school year went. Again, the school year was ending. And he drew the most beautiful piece of poop that I've ever seen. And I mean, it's just so artistic. And it was probably a very accurate representation of how the school year went. He spent a lot of time with me and a lot of time with the principal that year. So in his words, even if he didn't use words, his art spoke the words that maybe he could not. So I like to use many different avenues to allow expression of emotions. Or sometimes I may use dolls, and you know, sometimes they'll display different emotions utilizing dolls, little dollhouse dolls, or any music. I encourage them to pick a song that represents your emotion at the time, how you're feeling, and oftentimes they may have to explain to me why this song speaks to them, but they, you know, oftentimes you meet the client where they are. And so when I'm working with a lot of the children that I'm working with, oftentimes they may not have the emotional intelligence, the awareness, the vocabulary, but it's my job to help develop that in them. But you meet them where they are and start where they are and build up from there.
Meet the client where they are. Okay, so Mona, this question is for you. How do you build emotional safety and trust with male clients who may be hesitant to open up?
That's good.
So I'll say this. One thing I've found in working with men is that men don't have a problem opening up. They have a problem finding a safe person to open up to.
That's good.
And so what I found is that once you create that space for them to really be themselves, that means that you have to be non-biased, you have to be non-judgmental, and you just have to let them speak. Right? The same way we as women like to be able to chat with our homegirls. Believe it or not, the brothers like to do the same thing.
They do.
Right?
They're a little messy.
Can be sometimes.
Can be, right?
No pedicure.
Just to share this with you all, I have a friend who some years ago, I asked him, I said, you know, in all of my years of practice, y'all, the first time I actually worked with a man one-on-one was 2 years ago. And so it completely just, I was baffled. Because, I'm like, girl, this a man coming to therapy. Like, what? And so I was so stunned and just was so shocked that I actually had to go and consult with one of my friends. And I said, how do I reach a man? And his response to me was, the same thing you all as women want is the same thing you want.
Yes.
And that completely shifted my perspective.
Yeah.
So now when the men come in, I just sit there.
Yeah.
I kid y'all not.
Yeah.
The entire time in session, I'm mainly listening.
Absolutely.
Not saying anything. And I'm just allowing them that space.
Yeah.
And that's how you create that safe space, that trust with them. And they will, when I tell you, they will go on and tell you everything from A to Z. I'm like, all right, well, that's what we doing. Okay. But just the same thing. Same thing we want. Like I said, as ladies, it's the same thing they want. Just create that space.
That's so good.
I can recall
running.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I can recall an experience maybe about a year ago that I missed lunch that the man just opened up so much. I don't know what it took for him to get there, and he just kept talking and kept talking. I was like, man, I'm hungry. Well, then because it's my lunchtime, so I'm like, well, I started like kind of nibbling, and then he was like, oh, you can eat. I'm sorry. I know I'm taking up. And it went on. And so I don't know what it took for him to come there and to open up so much.
Yeah.
To where it costed me my lunch. But I definitely felt like if he's talking, I'm going to keep listening.
Yes,
absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. Again, society places so much weight on men's shoulders.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes they feel like they have to keep this facade up. So it's beautiful that they can come to people like us and find safe spaces, right? Good stuff. Back to you, Dr. Dom. So what are your go-to strategies for teaching young children how to regulate big emotions?
Okay, so I love to teach young children. First and foremost, when they enter into a space with me, there oftentimes is some sort of shift in the environment. So, and they mention it. Oh, it smells good in here. Oh, it's a different vibe in here. Oh, I like the music in here. So we play certain music. Not anything with too many beats that's gonna hype them up. Something that's really gonna send them out.
That's a good point.
Music that's gonna bring them down. As long as there's no allergies, maybe like some type of lavender or vanilla scent or something that promotes calm.
Yeah.
And also getting them to, I even utilize sometimes feelings charts, and maybe it has certain emojis. I love emojis.
Okay.
I love using emojis with children and helping them to, if they don't have the words, they can at least identify the face to describe how they're feeling. And then we kind of go from identifying some things to maybe deep breathing. Let's focus on that. Let's focus on counting backwards from 10 to have some skills that before you act, and especially act in a way that is going to be problematic. Let's think, stop, think, and then do. Stop, think, and then act. So that, and how many adults we know that probably could use those skills as well. So if we could get them young and start developing these characteristics, these traits, these coping skills while they're young, how much better could they possibly be as adults?
Absolutely. I was a child who had big feelings, right? Didn't know what to do with them. So I agree that children and adults can benefit from tools like that.
Yeah.
So what about you? With societal or cultural beliefs, do you find often hinder men from expressing or regulating emotions?
Listen, y'all, this is one that it hits home for me, right? It's something that I'm gonna say we have to stop doing, right? We have to stop saying that a man who is vulnerable or sharing his emotions is a weak man. That's so far from the truth.
Absolutely.
Right? Because for a man, it takes so much courage and it takes so much gusto to be able to say, I'm going to share these emotions.
Yeah.
But the moment we shut him off and tell him things like, oh, you weak because you saying this and you saying that, is the moment that you crush that man. And so we have to stop that. So I would say That's the whole societal and cultural thing. Stop saying the man who shares his emotions is weak.
Absolutely.
Because it takes strength to do that.
Absolutely.
As a woman, it takes strength to share emotion.
Yeah.
So imagine a man who has been taught his entire life, oh, you gotta be strong, you gotta do this, you gotta pay the bills, you gotta take care of the woman, take care of the children. Then you still gotta go out there and face the world.
Yeah.
But then when he comes home, he doesn't have a space to release all that.
Yeah.
That's unfair to him.
Absolutely.
See, you used the word crush. Ooh, that is so debilitating, right? And vulnerability is key. So when you crush a man's ability to share with you, they don't want to open up.
Absolutely. And I'll say this to us as women. Again, when a man is speaking, you don't have to say anything. I had that real life experience yesterday. I was talking to this gentleman, and he said, "You just made this all about you." And I'm like, "That's not my interpretation. That's your interpretation, right?"
Oh my gosh.
But after we walked through it and talked it out, I understood his perspective.
Okay.
Because while I'm thinking I'm trying to be helpful, he's like, "I didn't even need you to say anything. I just needed you to listen." And then I went back to what I do in practice. Wow. And I was like, well, dang, it's the difference, right? So we gotta learn how to be quiet.
Good stuff.
Scripture, last thing I'm gonna say. Scripture. Bible says that a man would rather be on the rooftop of a house than to be in a house with a quarreling woman. And so if we don't understand the power of our words and our mouths, the Bible also says that we must study to show ourselves approved, right? But also study to be quiet. I heard someone say there's a reason why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah, that's good.
Listen more than you speak.
That's good.
Absolutely.
So that's it.
All right, so that's a moment of self-reflection for everybody, right? Let's self-examine. So, Dr. Don, we're shifting back to you. What creative tools do you use to teach regulation?
Absolutely. So creative tools, I create tools.
Okay,
to
talk
be honest
about
with
it.
you.
Come on, curriculum.
Absolutely. So Mona knows. And of course, Angie was a big contributor. Like Angie's asking this question that she already knows the answer to, y'all, which is so funny. And so Angie, in conjunction with Angie, I developed Feeling Some Kind of Way, a social emotional learning curriculum. Which definitely the aim is to teach emotional awareness and management to children. But the funny thing about it is that while children were in mind when I developed it, so many times when I show it to adults, they're like, wait, do you have one for us? I'm like, well, yeah, anybody can use it. But again, I had children in mind when I developed it, but so many adults are saying how valuable it is and how they use it along with their children at home. And how everybody needs this, because everybody needs an outlet. Yeah. Everybody needs an outlet. And you're absolutely right. We should. The Bible also talks about meditation. How many times are we meditating on the word, meditating in prayer, communing with God? And one of the tools is an emotional awareness journal. Yes. And when you can reflect on those things, you could create some and develop and see some patterns. Okay, well, it's like every Monday I seem to be having a pretty bad day. So what's going on? What is it about Monday? Yeah. Or what is it about the weekend that prompts whatever is going on Monday? So developing those reflective practices as well, because in order for us to grow, we do need to be self-aware and start reflecting. Okay, what went well, what didn't? And so my emotional wellness journals helped to develop that within children as well as adults who work alongside children to do it. But again, it's for everybody. Yeah, it's for everybody.
So that's for purchase.
That absolutely, yeah. You know what? We gonna talk about that later.
Absolutely. All right. So, ladies, we're clocking. Oh,
I'm sorry. Also, I forgot I write books too.
Okay.
I'm sorry, y'all. I am the author of All of My Feelings Are Okay, as well as Dear Baby Time for Sleep and Dear Baby Time to Eat, as well as some other resources that will be coming out.
Very nice.
Sooner rather than later.
All
yes.
right.
Forgot about that.
Awesome.
Sorry, y'all.
All kind of talent on the couch. Let's go. So, Mona, which emotions do you find men struggle with regulating the most? And how do you address it?
Which one do men struggle with regulating? I would say anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because, again, they've been taught you can't express that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, going back to someone said maladaptive ways of coping, right? They cope with drugs, alcohol, sex.
Yeah.
All of those are more socially accepted amongst men as destructive as it is, right? We've taught men that it's okay to use these things instead of teaching them to speak to it, deal with it, let it out, right? And so I would say that most men have a hard time releasing that anger. And that's also, y'all, while we're here, that's also why we're seeing the suicide rate amongst men increase, especially amongst black men, right? And so we have to allow them that space to express those things, because what happens is that they bottle everything up, and then when it comes out, it's a volcano, and now they're in the street shooting the guns, or they're fighting, or they're abusing women. And I'm not saying that's okay, but as a therapist, as a healer, as we say, those are the things that contribute to that man being unable to express those things or blowing up.
Absolutely. Right. Could you give me that right there, please? So, we always want to give resources when we're talking about these things, and sometimes we navigate into heavy topics, but I'm going to have this on the screen, but this is the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can simply just dial it. You can text 988, or you can go online, and the slide is on the screen. You can actually chat with a live individual. It is 24/7. There's no judgment, and it offers support for mental health, substance use, and more. And this is why we're talking about things like this, emotional regulation. You don't have to be a child to have big feelings. You can be an adult, but there's help. There's help for you. And you don't have to make, it sounds cliche, but you don't have to make a permanent decision from temporary emotions and feelings. You can use the tools that are being discussed today to navigate those things. So just wanted to offer that.
And can I say one more thing, Angie? Listen, guys, we'd rather you come talk to us than for us to have to attend your funeral.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you don't be ashamed to call this crisis number, there are people at the other end of those lines that really want to help.
Absolutely.
Can I say something as well in regards to that? So I used to work a crisis hotline for many years, a mobile crisis unit, and I did the work. And so just trust and believe that even if you're thinking nobody's gonna understand or nobody's gonna be on the other side that looks like me, absolutely, it's likely that somebody will definitely relate to your experience and just be there to support you and be a non-judgmental space for you. Ooh, that was a tongue.
Yeah, it was.
In 2018, the National Institute of Health, no, let me back up. In 2018, the National Black Caucus published a paper called Ring the Alarm, The Crisis of Black Youth Suicide. Since 2018, the National Black Caucus, the National Institute of Health, the National Institute of Mental Health have deemed Black youth suicide a national health crisis. How many of us are aware of it? How many of us are being supported in our work? And so, yes, this is, try not to be political, but it is political, because when there was an opioid crisis, they threw money at it. However, again, the National Black Caucus, the National Institute of Health, the National Institute of Health, and maybe even the CDC have acknowledged that the crisis of Black youth suicide is a national health crisis. So it may take you, somebody like you, maybe not us as practitioners, but someone like you, to advocate and say, we need more money. We need somebody to look into this. We need the practitioners to be able to do some work to remedy this. Because again, when there was an opioid crisis, that largely impacted a certain demographic a whole lot of money, and I benefited from the money. I'm not going to say I got debt free based on the money that they were providing for individuals to work with certain populations to remedy that situation. My point is, we need to do more advocacy, but also you can call your senator, you can call your representatives to get more eyes and more focus on this, because it is a health crisis. If it's happening in the Black community, it's a national crisis.
Mhm.
It's not just because it's Black people, we can put this to the side. No, even though it is occurring with our youth, it is an American crisis. It is a national crisis, and we need to be aware of it so that we can combat it, so that we could do work to turn it around and really destigmatize reaching out, destigmatize calling, texting, or whatever that is, so that our youth now can get the help that they need, because they're in crisis.
Yeah.
That's so good. Advocacy and awareness.
And to Dr. Dom's point, I was thinking of this while she was speaking. As parents, don't ever stop your child from coming to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your child may come and say anything, literally anything. And when they come, you have to allow them that space to say whatever. Because as a therapist, I'm going to let them say whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say whatever, they can say whatever.
Yeah.
Right? As long as they are not disrespectful.
Absolutely.
But as a parent, we all have to allow our children to come, sit down, say whatever. And even as a parent, if it's something that's too much for you to handle, you may have to say, all right, my baby, give mama a moment, give daddy a moment. I'm going to deal with it. We're going to talk about it. But don't ever push them away, because you could have just missed a moment to save your child's life.
Absolutely.
Right? And another thing that we have to stop doing is we have to stop speaking ill words over our children.
That's good.
Listen, as a parent, your words are shaping your child's future.
Absolutely.
I don't care. I can give them all the positive affirmation and tell them how wonderful they are and speak to them about their talents and their gifts. But if you as a parent continue to beat that child down, and everything that comes out of your mouth is negative and you're calling them out their name, just understand that you have created your child's future.
You know, the thing I really appreciate about this month is just sitting amongst my peers, right? And just seeing the greatness and the wealth of wisdom and experience in all of you. And I just want to give both of you kudos for the work that you're doing in the field. You're making an impact. I mean, it's not about me right now, but it's really not about me right now. I'm just in awe, and I just love that. I don't want to make it about race, but I love that you ladies are in the field and you're making impact as Black women. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So, y'all, I'm so sorry that it's coming to a close. This is so good, but I'm gonna end with these two questions. All right. So it's on you. What does a successful session on emotional regulation with a child typically look like?
Oh, that's a good question, because success depends on many factors.
Come on.
More than anything, I think success, I would probably define success in many ways, and it really depends on the person, because one person may come in and master all the skills, and I may introduce them to a skill, or maybe they may come in and just sit. And so maybe that has been successful for that child, because just sitting still in the moment may do something that maybe no amount of me providing some type of psychoeducation or some type of therapeutic value besides sitting with them could provide. So I think it depends on the person, what success looks like, because different people are in different spaces, different places, and at different times.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends.
I really love that you give children and just clients, period, the space just to be them, and they don't feel judged. They don't feel like they have to fit a certain mold. And I know that's so important to children, because we don't know what they're going through at home. So that's beautiful.
We don't.
I love that.
Yep.
And then last question for you. Can you share a success story where a male client learned to regulate his emotions, and then what strategies were most effective?
Yeah, so I have a good bit of males that I work with, and one of them struggled with bipolar disorder. And of course, he was easily triggered. At the drop of a hat, is on site, right? My boy used to stay ready, stay ready. But he has a heart of gold, right? And so I, of course, taught him like some deep breathing techniques. I taught him how to kind of to be able to determine when he feels himself getting triggered, and then to watch the patterns. You know, because it's so important. The patterns in our lives, the patterns in our behavior, they let us know what we're triggered by. And so I had him to also do some journaling as well. And when I tell y'all, it was a success, because this wasn't a man who came from affluence, right? This was a man who came from the street. And so when he told me that in our session, he said, Miss Mona, man, look, them people was trying to push me. They was trying to do this and do that, you know, and they were really trying to set him off. But he said, I remembered everything you told me. And I was, y'all know, I was I was a mess after that. But he said, I really thank you, because that whole situation could have turned out a lot worse.
Absolutely.
And so I hold things like that dear to my heart.
That is awesome.
That is a success story. My gosh. Yes, indeed.
I love
He's doing
that.
well. He's doing well.
I love that, and you're holding space for him. And I find that oftentimes Black men are often diagnosed with schizophrenia versus bipolar, right? That's another stigma that needs to be addressed. But holding space for him in a world that probably doesn't understand him, doesn't treat him well, but you were able to pierce through the layers. So that's so beautiful.
You had him journaling, girl.
It was some work. I'm telling you, it was some work getting there. But like I said, once you create that space for them, you can get them to do whatever you want to, right? And they
trust you.
Absolutely. Yes. That's it right there. Yes. In any type of helping relationship, you have to build that trust. But you got to do it from the beginning. Right? It's you can't mess up the very first session, because it's going to be so much harder to get them back. First impression. Absolutely. Right? First impression makes a lasting impression.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. All right, well, ladies, let's talk about what you have going on, and then we're going to close out with some positive affirmations regarding emotion regulation. So let's start with you, Dr. Dom. What do you have going on?
Okay, that's a great question. I think I'm always having a lot going on. So it kind of is like, okay, what's going on now? I also, besides working in schools, I also am a counselor educator. So I'm a professor. So when I'm not in schools, I'm teaching adults, counseling students how to be counselors. I also recently held a conference where these two ladies joined me. So providing community.
So good. Occupied. Look out for it for next year.
Absolutely. And so providing community education in the counselor space, the Christ Plus Counseling space is actually a trademark. Christ Plus Counseling is my trademark. So be on the lookout for more. Writing books, writing children's books. God fixed it so that Dear Baby Time for Sleep was actually an Amazon bestseller last year. And so while we have a long way from like making real money, it was a great accomplishment with the project. And so I have a book that'll be coming out later this year. It says, the title is If School Had No Rules. Why? Because a lot of times kids are coming into me, I don't like the rules here. And then I recall one day in session, I said, if school had no rules, and then it just dawned on me to write a book. And so that book is in production, as well as a book called Beyond the Rainbow, and it's a book about dealing with grief. For children to understand death, loss, and grief. We have a few things. We have a few things coming out, and of course, feeling some kind of way coming to a school near you. And maybe publicly more on a more public scale, because I've just been pushing that area. So who knows? Who knows what the future will hold?
This woman is a gumbo.
Professor, right?
Yes.
College professor.
Yes. So I teach on university campuses as well. So yeah.
Okay. Got a gumbo going on, okay? Oh, and she can cook good too. Okay. I know.
I guess she nudging that how she knows. She's making it known how she knows.
Yes, indeed.
And same for you, Mona. What do you have going on?
So right now, I am attaining a high level of licensure within the profession.
Yes.
And with that is going to be the rollout of Clear Thoughts.
Yes.
It's going to be Clear Thoughts Counseling, so be on the lookout for that. In addition, I still have faith-based books, right? Because I believe in holistic practice.
Yes.
And so if you know me outside of the social work stuff, right? You also know that I'm an intercessor, I'm a prayer warrior. And I believe in addition to counseling, you still need to have a higher power, right?
Absolutely.
You still need to, your faith still needs to be in someone bigger than you. For me, that's Jesus Christ. I don't know about y'all, but it's Jesus Christ for me. So I have some books on prayer. And so I'm pushing that. I also have a prayer ministry called Pray Now. It's a community prayer ministry where we'll be going to different areas throughout the greater New Orleans area praying for the community.
Okay.
So those things are coming. Actually, June 14th is going to be our next Pray Now gathering.
Okay.
We're going to be praying for the lost.
Yes.
It's going to not just spiritually lost, but there are a lot of people who are lost in thought, lost in emotion, lost in their family. So that's going to be at Pontilly Coffee House, June 14th at 10 a.m.
All right. And we'll pump that out when she sends flyers. I'll make sure.
Sure.
All right. So I'm excited about everything that you both have going on. That's awesome. So let's end with the positive affirmations. Please repeat after me. I allow myself to feel.
I allow myself to feel.
And I choose how I respond.
And I choose how I respond.
I can hold space for my anger.
I can hold space for my anger,
sadness, and joy, with grace.
With grace.
I use my tools to help me cope.
I use my tools to help me cope
with any and every situation I face.
With any and every situation I face.
I will not allow my emotions.
I will not allow my emotions
to rule.
I love that.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Good.
I'm a good affirmations queen.
Yes.
Good affirmation, all right. So, no, ladies, thank you so much for joining me today. This was beautiful. This is one I'm going to go and look at again and again. And just thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you for rocking with me this month. I do not take it lightly that you have watched, that you've supported, shared, whatever you've done to contribute to what I'm doing this month. So until next time, the next segment will be rolling. I'll announce it next, but have a beautiful day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in today, whether you're watching live or later. I appreciate you. I hope that you gained a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom, and nuggets that you can take away regarding controlling and regulating your emotions. My next guest for the next segment that'll happen and air on Tuesday is regarding the importance of community and mental health. The people around you, your support system. We're going to talk about all of those matters on Tuesday. See you soon. Look out for the flyer regarding time and information. But until then, peace.